Good afternoon, Prosper High School. It's April 2nd, and we're finally back from Seattle. While at our convention, STN, we were challenged to create a morning show in just 8 hours. While it sounds like a lot of time, it was more stressful than we thought, especially with all the running around.
Thanks to help from Eagle production groups such as Caden and Tony and Judd as well, we made it possible. It's not perfect, but to find 4 stories in foreign location is not easy. So take a look.
Good morning, STN. It's 9 a.m. and it's surprisingly a nice day here in Seattle with no rain. I'm Christina Folsom.
And I'm Casey Boston.
Coming from Texas with constant heat, I must say this weather feels pretty nice.
Yes, and before the Texas jokes start, no, we did not ride our horses here.
Well, so far Seattle has been a neat experience, especially after having seen the city in some of my favorite TV shows like Grey's Anatomy.
And iCarly too.
It's a shame though to realize that they weren't actually filmed here.
Even after one day of being here, I've already heard stories from some locals about the city. What about you?
Yes, one person we came across on the bus was telling us about the auditors and also how at Pike Place, they don't even have tables so it doesn't get overcrowded.
Exactly. Well, moving on to our national news, the United States Air Force has announced that they will need $4.9 billion to rebuild 2 air bases that were struck by natural disasters. These bases in the Florida Panhandle were hit this past October by Hurricane Michael. They're hoping to gain $1.2 billion in 2019 and $3.7 billion in 2020 to 2021.
On a more serious note, a shooting and carjacking took place yesterday here in Seattle. 2 people were killed and 2 others were severely injured. We can use this as a reminder to stay safe and keep our guard up throughout the rest of the convention. Seattle is home to many attractions ranging from the Space Needle to T-Mobile Stadium, both of which we'll be sure to attend. Brenna Gibbons reports.
Think of a souvenir shop. You think of t-shirts, keychains, and other knickknacks to bring home to your family. However, Old Yeet Curiosity Shop has a unique twist to it.
The painting, the carving, I got into it at a young age, 3 years old. Seeing my dad just carve there, like when he was cutting it, it's like butter, just like, it's just really something to see.
Eagle's son is not the first person to become a carver in his family.
My father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, these guys were retiring because they did like 80, 90 years of carving, and one of the elders handed me an old IXL knife, asked me if I'm going to be a carver like my dad, granddad. And at 5 years old, I looked up, in time I will.
Not only is the carving important, but so is the tradition.
It's always keeping the tradition alive. Not a lot of people do like the style that I do. My great-grandfather carved mine. He'd use his fingertips as his eyes. And then a pencil, you couldn't feel the texture, so you used a crayon because you could feel the texture. The stories I heard from my father, and the stories from my uncles, and just like seeing it, it's just really beautiful to see. Like not a lot of people do it. I keep it alive because it makes a lot of people happy, seeing kids happy, and they really enjoy. Even if they got it for free, they're like, oh my God, like this means a lot. I'm always gonna keep this. I'm always gonna remember you.
I'm Brenna Gibbons, reporting for Eagle Nation News, Seattle.
Seattle has many attractions like the Underground City, but it is not the only attraction that can be found underground. A troll under the bridge may seem like it comes from a children's show, but here in the city, it's actually quite normal. In 1989, an art competition was held to add another special component to the city with an attempt to fix an area full of suspicious activity. An 18-foot-tall statue of a troll was sculpted by Steve Badanes and ended up winning the competition.
I think the troll is amazing. I think that the troll shows off the artwork of Seattle, and it's just amazing the different sculptors and artists that they have in the area that were able to create something like this that people come to all hours of the day. And I've just seen it on Instagram, and I knew that I was coming to Seattle to visit, so I was like, I have to come see that troll.
This attraction is about a 15-minute drive from the convention center located on North 36th Street, Aurora Avenue.
One other attraction I was interested in was the famous gum wall. McKinley Bound set out to not only stick her gum on the wall, but to uncover the stories behind those who already have.
Seattle is a big and unique city. One of the biggest mysteries of Seattle is the gum wall. What's the history behind it? How did it start? and what happens on the day-to-day.
Back in the day, they didn't allow the Market Theater didn't allow gum inside the theater. So they used to say, we don't care what you do with it, just put it on the wall for all we care. And so back in like the 80s or 90s, they started just like putting it on the wall. And then I guess it was like a really rebellious time for Seattle back in the 90s with like grunge and everything. So then it became this big like, domino effect of people putting gum on the wall.
My favorite part about the gum wall is the creativity, honestly. People get super creative, super into it, all about leaving their mark. I mean, it's gross, it's grody, it's grungy, but I love it.
Reporting for Eagle Nation News, I'm McKinley Bounds, Seattle.
I don't know how sanitary that is, but that would definitely make an interesting background for a picture. On another note, the glamorous life most view many actors to have is not always what it seems. It can put some through hardships. While struggle can hold them back, it can, however, lead them to new adventures. Local Seattle actor Basil Harris knows what it's like firsthand. Having been in several movies, he seeks new opportunities in the city.
In 1994, Seattle was kind of the place to be. There are a lot of artists here, a lot of actors and musicians, visual artists and dancers who are just ready to work.
Allowing Seattle to shape him, he works professionally at a local theater and has an upcoming performance this weekend.
Seattle's a very easy place to just work. I'm a professional actor, which means I do it for money. I'm a member of the acting unions, Actors Equity Association for stage actors and SAG-AFTRA for film, media, and television actors.
He even has insight on local attractions after having worked at some of them, going to show that acting does not always bring massive wealth. Despite the hardships, he has been in a few movies.
21 and Over was I had a small role in that as the cop. I had one punchline that ended up on the first preview reel that they posted, which was pretty fun.
Get down immediately. What are you doing, sir?
I think he's getting down.
Yeah, no, I see that.
I'm just saying, technically, he's doing what you asked him to do.
After several years of living in the big city, Basil lives comfortably with his family and continues to live out his passion. Basil can be found on IMDb, and he has acted in 21 and Over, I'll Be Around, and many others.
Now, Seattle is a destination to some and a home to many, like Basil Harris, that is filled with many unique qualities. But before we go, we wanted to test your knowledge on the city.
True or false? There are less children than dogs here in Seattle.
If you answered true, then you are correct. There are over 150,000 dogs and over 100,000 children.
It may seem hard to believe with all the students here for the convention, but these furry friends do outnumber the amount of kids here in the city. Well, that's all we have for you today, and we wanted to bring you a little taste from home.
That's right, Christina. Coming from the small town of Prosper, Texas, we sign off with Live Long and Prosper.
But today, we want y'all to live long in Seattle.